Hello, Year 3. In today's lesson, we're going to be looking at division, and we're going to be solving some divisions using an array. Remember, division is sharing a number into equal groups, splitting a larger number into equal groups of the same amount, and seeing how many are in each of those groups. Let's have a look at this first question together. 12 divided by 3. Now, you'll see me do this a lot in class. When we're looking at division, we're seeing how many of the smaller number, how many 3s there are in 12, in the larger number. And I know lots of you can do that in your head, but today I do want you to use an array to answer the question. So, I've got the answer here, but I will do it again just to show you. 12 divided by 3. I'll start by putting 12 dots. Make sure you count carefully, because if you miscount, you won't get the correct answer, or you'll have numbers left over. So I've got 12 dots now, and I have to put them into groups of 3. So I'm just going to put these crosses into groups of 3. And now I count how many groups that I have. 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 4. So 12 divided by 3 equals 4. Remember, we can check if our answer is correct too, because timesing and dividing are opposites of each other. Timesing and dividing are opposites. So 12 divided by 3 equals 4. But we also know we can work backwards. You know that 4 times 3 equals 12, because timesing and dividing are opposites. It's the same numbers. The first 7 or 8 questions on your sheet, which I will show you, there are a few sheets today. The first questions in number 1, they'll all be like this. Put down the number of dots for your larger number and see how many groups of the smaller number are needed to make the larger number. So question 1 will be questions like this. When you get to question 2, there are some slightly different questions. I've got a couple of examples here to show you. 15 divided by something is 5. We have a missing number, but we can still use the same method. I can put 15 dots, and I can just see how many of this number, how many 5s there are in 15, and that should tell me what my missing number is. So I put my 15 dots, I put them into groups of 5, just like I've done on here, and I see how many groups I've got. I've got 3 groups. And again, we know that timesing and dividing are opposites of each other, so I can use that to check my answer again. 15 divided by 3 equals 5, but we also know that 5 times 3 equals 15. We just worked back the other way, making sure these two numbers times together to make our first number, because they are opposites. It's the same numbers. There are a couple of questions that are written like this, which is slightly different. Something divided by 4 equals 5 is the example I put on the board. Now I need to know where I started with, the number that I started with. But like I've spoke to you about in these first 2 questions, and we know that timesing and dividing are opposites of each other, if I times these 2 numbers, it should tell me what my first number is. And I could use an array to help me do that. I could do 4 lots of 5 or 5 lots of 4. On my board here, I've done 4 lots of 5. And all I have to do is count how many crosses I've got, and it will tell me what my first number is. 5 times 4 is 20, 4 times 5 is 20. So the first questions on the sheet will all be like this, where you just have to put this number of crosses and see how many groups of the smaller number make the bigger number. Once you get to question 2, there might be some slightly different questions. I expect everybody to be able to do question 1, and then if you feel confident enough to have a go, you might be able to do question 2. There's an extra question for question 3 as well, which is a word problem if you get that far. I will put a link up for Google Meet, just so you can have a look, but if you are unsure, do come back and watch the video again, because I'm certain everybody can use this array method that you would have seen before to answer the division questions. you start with this number of dots or crosses, and you see how many lots or groups of the smaller number make the bigger number. If it helps you to use a circle and an arrow like I often do just to remind you, you can of course do that as well. Any problems, just let me know.